Greetings fellow rogue, this is Lebowski, your log review guide for today. As I mentioned in the last video about making an actual review of a different rogue playstyle, this video is about combat. Combat itself has a low player base. If you are not the main focus of this video, give this channel a follow to get notified when I release an assassination video coming soon. This video will go over one log I got sent by an actual player asking for help. I may not cover every single detail that goes into playing combat, but I give my best to show you the best advices I can, based on my knowledge, reading the Summoners Discord and interacting with users for a long time, playing combat during Classic and TBC, and in Wrath since day one. If you spot any errors, don't shy away from posting them in the comments below. I will do my best to respond ASAP and clarify any mistakes I made. This channel is about teaching you the most valuable lessons I learned and help you to improve to get your raids even faster through the current and later content. This video will be a bit longer, cause I will go into each boss in detail, but stick to the end, cause there I will give you a preview of my roadmap for this channel. As I mentioned in my basics video, linked in the comments below, make sure you are executing your rotation correctly. If you don't employ the base rotation, you're already missing a huge part of the damage output. Using the default 2-5 slice and rupture or 1-1-5 expose slice rupture rotation will get you into place fairly quickly. For combat in general, you only care about 2 or 3 buffs you want to maintain. Expose if you're on expose duty, slice, then rupture. To get the elephant out of the room, yes, exposing in general is a personal DPS loss, and if you're on expose duty, pausing while exposing requires an even better raid setup to perform equally as good. It is, however, a very important debuff for the raid that affects not only your, but also every other physical DPS player's damage output, so be a good rogue and keep it up. Slice is a personal buff that you wanna keep up at any cost, except if you're on exposed duty, cause it makes you attack more often. Not having it up for 1 second costs you 40% of your melee attacks during the time frame. It also increases the amount of combat potency procs you get over the fight. Not having it up reduces that amount, subsequently robbing you of potential energy restoring procs, making you not having enough energy to reapply one of your buffs or debuffs, resulting in them dropping. Rupture is a fairly small amount of your overall damage output, so keep it up as part of your rotation, but it's not your top 1 priority. So keeping it up as high as possible is a good thing, but don't let any of the other buffs drop just for the sake of keeping Rupture up. Whenever you are unsure which buff to prioritize, expose over slice over rupture. For your glyphs, you have to be aware that there's an optimal boss by boss setup, so you want to swap your glyphs in order to maximize your DPS output. I refer you to the post Simon made about your glyph selection based on each boss. Some of your glyphs are not a make or break deal kind of decision you're dealing with, others are. For example, using fan glyph on bosses where you can use fan often is a good thing, but bosses where you don't use it, a bad one. On the Jaraxxus encounter, you are able to cast a few Fan of Knives during the section where the portal, at least one mistress, and a boss is up. This means swapping one of your currently less valuable glyphs to Fan is what you wanna do. You have to get a good understanding of each glyph's strength and weaknesses to perform optimally. Glyphs like Slice and Adrenaline Rush are just extending the uptime of their respective buffs, but have a small impact on your actual DPS output. Some of your available glyphs are hard to sim, like Slice. This glyph makes your rotation more smoothly in game, but it's hardly a DPS gain if you ask any sim tool. However, if you struggle having Slice up, it can indeed be a DPS gain, even if sim says differently. After preparing everything you need, starting at a polished up gear, having your 40 haste pots you're using at every occasion you can, your flask, your food buff, your optimal raid comp, executing your rotation as I told you, with 0 drops of slice and perfect timing of rupture, you might still ask yourself, why do you still pass like shit on encounter XYZ? At this point you need to learn about what it means to optimize your ability and cooldown usage. The general idea is to combine stuff that interacts in a positive way. For example, using Blade Fury before killing spree is a good interaction because the 20% increased attack speed causes your auto attacks during killing spree to happen 20% faster. Casting Adrenaline Rush before killing spree, however, is a bad interaction, since the combat potency procs during spree caused by your auto attacks plus the increased energy regeneration from rush can and will cause you to energy cap. If you cap energy, You will not be able to convert that excessive energy into damage, which is a potential DPS loss. Such kind of interactions are not immediately obvious, they require intensive research or being told to you. I will attempt to note those mistakes to you in my reviews and hope you spot them in your own logs to prevent you from doing them again. Another example is that on encounters where you know that your trinkets are more helpful if they proc a few seconds into the encounter rather than right at the start, it is a good measure to swap your trinkets to make them go on ICD so you have them ready exactly when you want them. Before we go into the main topic, let me tell you about one last thing that is mostly overlooked. Since engineering is the go-to profession in Wrath, I assume most rogues are engineer. This means you have access to powerful and free damage from grenades and zappers. Free as in it will cost you 0 energy to use them. Some players are not aware that this small addition to your rotation can help you do a bit more damage, and who wouldn't want to get extra free damage without needing to spend another GCD? Looking at you, dear faint ability. Rest in peace. To make use of that, just add /use Serenite Bomb and /use Global Thermal Zapper Charge in your Sinister macro that has already a /start attack in it. Has it? And use him on CD. Zapper have a 5-minute cooldown, while Bomb only have a 1 minute. If you are using them on cooldown, you are adding another 1k damage per minute from bombs and about 2k damage every 5 minutes per target from Zapper to your DPS output. So, let's see at the group comp. So we had Unholy Decay, 2 Frosty Case, 2 Boomkins, a Feral, 2 Hunter, 2 Mages, Retribution plus Holy Paladin and a Tank, a Discipline Priest, then a Shadow Priest, a Holy Priest, the Rogue, only 1 Rogue, 1 Restoration Shaman, then a Warlocks and a Warrior. So far I can't see any buff that is missing, except maybe a Healing Druid for the energy procs from Wild Growth or Revitalize talent. But let's check Northrend Beasts. We can see a kill time of 6 minutes and 6 seconds, which is kind of long. You want the kill time to be around 5 minutes. If you check here, the actual pause was a 53, dealing 7.7k DPS. Then let's go to the person itself. As you can see, abilities or damage abilities used: melee, instant poison, sinister, deadly poison, blade fury, killing speed, rupture, eviscerate, only 5. The 5 eviscerate should be from cleaving of the snowballs, 1 Garrote accounting for 10k damage, and a retribution aura. Okay. Then in the buff section, scroll down, we see, okay, flask was up, slice, a few drops, here bigger drop. This gap is probably either because the person died or the buffs abruptly end, or when I think the worm was submerged. Let's check the death log, and I can see, okay, the person died. Oh, of course, that's a big DPS loss. Next would be Horn of Winter, okay, Runestone and Comet Trail. They were not desynced at the start, so using Adrenaline Rush and Blade Fury without them. You could pre-combat swap your trinkets. I think the Fujivik Aura does a good job at showing you now you can swap it. But okay, then AR, Blade Fury together with a speed pot, because he died here, he was able to use a second pot in the fight, which is nice. Yeah, that's about everything. Then if I go to the cast section and I can see the person was using Sinister, Slice, Expose. Okay, the guy was exposing. They had one warrior, yeah, but no warrior tank. Eviscerate hyperspeed. Oh yeah, hyperspeed accelerator was used. Let's see, pretty much on cooldown. Yeah. But sprint, speed, vanish, evasion, Garrot. Okay, feint was used once. And if I go to the events view, I can see Sinister, Slice, good opener, using a Ruthlessness proc on Slice for expose. Here it's a bit of a debate, either you open with Sinister into Slice or Sinister into expose. I prefer to use Sinister into expose. Then 3 combo point rupture. Yeah, he was using Killing Spirit directly on the boss. Normal rotation. In this case, I guess the person wasn't using Slice Glyph, but I can't prove it, so... Sinister, Expose, 3 Rupture. Yeah, usually you should do 5 common points Rupture and 1 common point Slice, as well as a 1 common point Expose as your primary rotation. Here we have the snowballs around 30 seconds into the fight. Adrenaline Rush, Blade Fury, Sinister, Sinister, Speed Pot, Sinister, Eviscerate during Blade Fury. So for 31 seconds, uptime is 15 seconds, so at 46 seconds, about here. A person got 1, 2, each 3 combo point or 4 combo point Eviscerate. I would go as far as put a 5 combo point Eviscerate. Usually if you use a 2 combo point Slice with Glyph and do twice Blade Fury 5 combo point Eviscerate, you will most likely drop Sinister. So I recommend, if you do this, I recommend to have a 3 combo point Slice and then directly after that Adrenaline Rush, Blade Fury, 5 Sinister, 1 Eviscerate, 5 Sinister, 1 Eviscerate. Okay, then scroll down. Here we have a few Sinisters on the snowballs. Sinister, Expose on the snowball. Okay. Tricks on the Warlock. Starting off Sinister into Expose. Then a sprint. Here we have like 2 seconds downtime. Sinister, double Sinister Expose, double Sinister Slice, 5 combo point Rupture into Killing Spree on Acid Maw. Depending on if he was using Killing Spree Glyph, 2 minutes and 3 seconds. The earliest it was available would be 3 minutes and 28 seconds. 3 minutes. Okay, here's a massive gap of around 1 minute and 10 seconds, so skip that. Then we go further. Probably a cloak to get the dread skill debuff off. Then he was resurrected for Ice Howl. Sinister Slice. Again, Sinister into Expose would be better for the raid, but for personal DPS you can Sinister into Slice. Then about 4 combo point Rupture. Here 2 combo point Slice. If you're using Slice Glyph, then you don't need 2 combo point Slice. You can only 1 Sinister into Slice. Basically the Glyph replaces 1 Sinister for the builder. Then we have a 2 combo point Expose. I don't know why, maybe because the boss was... okay, so he applied Expose before the boss ran away and had his intermission. can see it at the time frames. Here we have like 6-second downtime, sprint to reach the boss, vanish to vanish the actual knockback and took a road, then 3 seconds doing nothing, and probably here the stun began. Blade for a adrenaline rush and just spam your Sinister into Rupture. Killing spree. The stun is 15 seconds, so if we assume this, yeah, it was during the going into 4 common point Sinister, probably 5 common point Sinister. I would have used a Rupture here, and then 4 to 5 common point Rupture, Sinister into Expose, and finishing with an Eviscerate. In my opinion, I would finish with an Envenom instead of Eviscerate, just because the attack power scaling of Eviscerate is not very good. And for Envenom, you at least get the armor reduction, and like deadly poison ticks every 3 seconds. So if the boss dies in about 2 seconds, you won't get another tick. So consuming your 5 stacks from deadly poison with Envenom is better than having Eviscerate with all the armor reduction from the damage. Now looking at Lord Jaraxxus, I can see a kill time 2 minutes and 54 seconds is also kind of long. Ideally you want to have either 2 minutes and 20 seconds, so you can use 2 minutes and 30 seconds, because then you can use your Blade Fire with Killing Spree a second time. Or you want a kill time of around 2 minutes and 50 seconds. In that case you can get a second Killing Spree during Blade Fire during your 6 pockets of trinkets. So this kill time would be ideally for that. Guessing by the trinkets this player was using, it's a good thing because both have a 45-second internal cooldown and proc pretty often. Regarding the gear, okay, 2-piece T8 was used, Embrace Cinch, Expertise has a good value also for hit. Golden Samurai, Dragon and Lionhead Slasher. This combination of weapon means that player was using the mix spec. The issue with the mix spec is that you have to distribute 5 talent points differently, and these 5 talent points are taken out of aggression and endurance. Endurance is no DPS output talent, it's just a survivability talent. But aggression, having only 1 of 5 ranks instead of 5 of 5, is about 150 DPS downgrade. So you often must make up the difference, which I don't think it is, but I don't know what that player was using before. So let's give him the benefit of a doubt and say it's a DPS gain for him. But again, damage done. I can see melee, poison, blade flurry. Here I usually have like 200k damage done via blade flurry. In this case I can almost see it was either used suboptimally, meaning the blade flurry wasn't hitting as many targets or as often the secondary target as could be possible, or the ads just weren't living long enough. Deadly poison ticks, Rupture, Killing Spree. It was used 2 times, it's okay. Then Fan of Knives and Eviscerate 1, presumably at the end. If we go to the buff section, my favorite spot, I immediately see, oh, Slice, a few drops. That's a big issue, only about 85% uptime, bad. Then Comet Trail and Runestone were delayed, they desynchronized for some reason. Blade Flurry was used during Runestone and Comet Trail, which is good. Usually you want to pair Runestone with Blade Flurry, because Blade Flurry benefits from Armor Pen more than from your haste. Hyperspeed was used on CD, probably bound with Sinister Strike. Killing Spree was used at the start. It depends a bit how you use Killing Spree on that boss. Either you start off with Blade Flurry into Killing Spree while targeting the boss, then you jump around and hit boss and portal and mistress. But this means that Blade Flurry, Killing Spree are together about 5 GCDs. You cannot press any other buttons during which your trinkets run, and even if you then cast Adrenaline Rush to spam Fan of Knives, you basically lost 6 seconds of your trinkets. I still struggle to find the optimal solution. As far as I've heard, your best option is to delay your trinkets, and then as soon as the portal spawns, you still target the boss, hit Blade Flurry into Killing Spree, jump around, and then Adrenaline Rush and spam the living hell out of them. Okay, then in the cast tab, I see Sinister, Fan, Slice, Expose, Rupture, Blade Flurry twice, okay. Yeah, wait a second. When was the second Blade Flurry? As I mentioned earlier, Blade Flurry without Killing Spree, and the runes and both trinkets were proccing about here. So if you see that your trinkets will come off CD fairly soon, you can use Blade Flurry in advance to them. So if you see they come off in like 5 seconds, but your time to kill weak aura tells your boss dies in 20 seconds or whatever, then you know Blade Flurry is 15-second uptime, your trinkets are 10 seconds uptime, so you can use Blade Flurry now and still have them overlap. And in this case, of course, Killing Spree would be best either during the Runestone proc or the Comet's Trail, or even Blade Flurry, or even all 3 of them. But it was used only during a hyperspeed accelerator usage, which is okay, but not the best usage. So then to the cast tab, events, starting off with Sinister into Slice, into Sinister into Double Sinister Expose, okay. Killing Spree, then a lot of Sinister. Okay, the person was capping at least one Sinister, or casting at least one Sinister too much. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then Rupture. Then here we have some major downtime, pressing nothing. Can check in the damage done tab from 18 seconds onward. Okay, he wasn't pressing any buttons, but he was actually hitting the mob. Then we have Sinister Strike, Eviscerate, Sinister Slice, and then a few Fan of Knives. That's what I mean. If you don't use Killing Spree on the portals, you can just Blade Flurry, Adrenaline Rush, and make sure you have a Slice up, and then just spam Fan of Knives a whole lot. If you use Fan of Knives, make sure to also have the glyphs, because 20% more damage for Fan of Knives is very good if you are using Fan of Knives, of course. Then portals over, then Speed Pod Slice, Sinister Expose, few more Fan of Knives, Killing Spree, Blade Flurry, and we're ending off with Fan of Knives. What I just want to check is what's the debuff uptime for Expose. So Expose oh yeah, we have a lot of drops, so this player should try to improve the Expose game. Definitely. Expose dropping is a big DPS loss for the raid, which can explain why the kill time was so long. But if I check the damage done, we had 178,000 DPS. Yeah, if you can see, you have a few physical DPS people up there, but the top player are caster. Okay, let's look at the Twin Valkyries encounter. And as I can see here, 2 minutes and 51 seconds. It is a good kill time for, as I mentioned before, kill time of 2 million 40 plus seconds. You can use your Killing Spree during Blade Flurry and trinkets. And as I can see, person did only 20 bars. I wonder what happened. But as I can see, wound poison was used, which is not good, because it's about 7% DPS loss. And the second thing I can see, not a single deadly poison damage. So this person wasn't using the correct poisons, which makes analyzing this look kind of pointless, but let's do it anyway. Melee damage, Blade Flurry, yeah, pretty good blade flurry, was used once. Wound poison, of course, rupture damage, killing spree, eviscerate, and serenade bomb. Then in the buff section, slice and dice, pretty good uptime with a few drops. As I mentioned earlier, using slice glyph can improve on that. Comet's trail, they both weren't delayed at the start. In my experience, the tanks usually need about 5 to 7 seconds after you pull to get both of them together, and I as a melee need about 2 seconds to get from where we pull until I reach the bosses. So if you want to employ the trinket swap strategy, you want to swap your trinkets about 40 seconds before the pull, so they will be ready 5 seconds after pull. Ideal moment when they are next to each other, so you can pop your blade flurry and cleave the fuck out of them. Comet's trail hyperspeed was used on CD combined with blade flurry. Still had a speed pot, and a second speed pot was used not in conjunction with your trinkets. You have multiple options. Either you use them with your third trinket procs, which are 90 seconds into the fight, or what I would prefer is with this trinket proc, because at this moment you would have your blade flurry up again. See, killing spree was used with blade flurry, okay, and in this case you could combine Comet's Trail, Runestone, blade flurry, speed pot, and your killing spree, which is very good. Then go to the... Did the player die? Nope. Okay. Cast tab, events view. Going back to tables. Expose, eviscerate. How many? 4 eviscerates. Okay. So sinister into slice, sinister into expose. Here the same issue as before. Sinister, and here we go. Blade flurry into killing spree. I tried multiple things, and what I found and what I've been told is that you wanna use your killing spree at the start after slice and hit the Lightbane mob on the right side, and only that mob, while the second tank drags the second boss to the first boss. The reason behind this is if you cast killing spree, you are jumping around, and this jumping around makes you basically lose uptime on your primary target, because you're hitting a primary target, then jump to the other one, but when you jump to the other one, you lose your auto attacks you would have done to the primary target. And also the secondary target doesn't get the full damage. So better use killing spree without like a boss like expose or whatever on the primary target, but with the 100% damage increase buff, than wasting it jumping around and losing auto hits. What you want to do instead, as I said, cast killing spree at the start on the first boss, and then as soon as they are together, cast Adrenaline Rush, then Blade Flurry, cast as many Sinister Strike until you get 5 combo points, then Eviscerate, while making sure you're hitting the second target with Blade Flurry, and do this a second time. Now you have to watch out. If you have the double Blade Flurry with 5 combo point Eviscerate, you might end up dropping Slice, which is bad. To counter this, you can, if you already foresee it, only make the second Eviscerate a 4 combo point Eviscerate. If you see, okay, it's all good, I have enough energy, then go for the 5 combo. If not, and again, go for 4 combo point. Then we have Expose, Rupture, Sinister, Eviscerate. Here again a single Eviscerate, which is kind of useless. 4 combo points or 5 combo point Rupture, then Expose with a roof block. Here Speed Pile would be a better usage down with Killing Spree and Blade Flurry. Oh, Serenade Bomb. Yeah. And that's it. Finally, the last boss, Anub, and we have a kill time of about 5 minutes and 5 minutes and 2 seconds, which is okay, not too long, but not too short. Checking his damage output, instant poison, sinister fan, deadly poison, rupture fan, and wound poison, as well as killing spree, 2 usages. He could have gotten 3 with proper timing, blade flurry and eviscerate. Oh, okay, that's very low damage from blade flurry. It should be up here, because he can fan of knife cleave a lot. In checking at the buff section, slice again, many drops. Runestone, here you can also delay your trinkets. You have to swap them at 20 seconds before they pull, or 25 seconds. I prefer to use 25 seconds, so you have them ready when the ads are up, because the ads spawn at 15 seconds and usually take about 7 seconds until they are at the boss. So these two should be about here when actual blade flurry was used, with adrenaline rush and fan of knife spamming. Speed pod and a pod right here. Heroism was cast here. Let's check the death log, and we have no deaths. Very good. And the build usage: sinister fan, slice, a few throws, pose, rupture, speed pod, yeah. Events, slice, and sinister into slice again, lacking expose uptime. A few sinister into rupture, into sinister into slice, then blade flurry and fan of nerves. I would think he wasn't positioned correctly. Sinister slice after the ads were over. Expose on the boss. Okay, so 1 minute 20 seconds the boss submerges. Okay, here he was just attacking the one of the ad. In this case, I prefer to just spam fan of knives and keep slice up, obviously. But my main damage ability is fan of knives. Throwing at the Scarab Swarm, those do not count to your pass. Tricksing the Warlock 60 seconds after the submerge. Staying at the boss. Sinister to expose, slice, sinister. Here, why was he using fan? He wasn't hitting any of the slice on the boss. Killing spree. Going on. When was speed pod used? Okay, speed pod was used here. If I check the damage done tab. Okay, he was using fan of knives on the burrows. Blade flurry, and he was hitting Anub. But as I said, I would change the opener. Think about using Slice Glove. If you cast Fan of Knives, you use Fan Gloves in this case. And if you're exposing, be sure to use Expose Glove. Enemies, debuffs, table view. Oh, in this case, Thunder was applied. And where is expose? See expose here. Heavy drops. Very many drops. Damage summary. Oh, okay, one of their warrior was switched to tank. But I think enemies, abilities, expose armor. Okay, so expose was only applied to Nubarak, but with a lot of drops. Here you can see a big drop. Obviously here where he was submerged. Here a small drop and here. I cannot give you a master plan on how you can perform most optimally on each and every boss just by telling you do X and do Y. By the nature of how every phase brings a new raid with new encounters and more or less new mechanics, this requires updates, changes and new strats every time. But what I can help you at is acquiring the basic understanding of what you want to do based on encounter type, kill time and your spec. Even though the best spec is sometimes determined by the encounter type, Cleave prefers combat or chicken spec, single target bosses prefer single target assassination. Currently my best advice is watch my log review basics video as well as the combat, chicken or assassination single target log review video, understand what the issues mentioned are and think about them, and then try to come up with a solution that would work in your raid. For example, if your kill time does not allow for an additional usage of killing spree with glyph, even though you had the sentiment you must use the glyph, don't use it and have a better use for that slot and cast Killing Spree 30 seconds later together with the second Blade Flurry. Or if I mention uptime a lot and you notice lack of personal uptime on the boss, make sure to improve on that. If you're unsure on how to achieve that, you're very welcome to join the Simonized Discord and ask for help. In order for this channel to stay relevant even after ICC comes out, I plan on making a generalized parsing related video for each spec. Combat, chicken assassination and single target assassination. These videos will go over different scenarios, kill time, fight style, cleave versus no cleave, and explain in detail what would be a good usage of your abilities, when to use which cooldown and when it's not good to use them, plus showing you the timings of when they are ready again and implication based on your kill time. Having a major cooldown ready 20 seconds before the boss dies offers you a different approach than having it ready 5 seconds before the boss dies. So if you are interested in this content, make sure to give this channel a follow, this video a like, and I see you in the next one, very soon.